to my workshop. I'm making a windmill, a model windmill. Not really a windmill, it's a turbine, a wind turbine, and it's to generate electricity. Small model, about that high, but you'll see it works. Here's a photograph of it. These are the sails that are blown round by the wind, and when the wind makes them rotate, the magnets move across the top of the coils. And here's another one. This one's made better. You can see the sides there are straight. It's called a pico turbine because pico means very small. I'll show you how it works. Here I've got a coil of wire connected to a galvanometer. It detects very small current, and here I've got a magnet. And if I move the magnet across the top of the coil, it generates electricity. Now I'm going to show you the construction of it. This is a piece of wood for the base. I've drawn diagonals to see the centre, and I'm going to make a little bit of a hole there in the centre, because that's where the axle is going to go, and the axle is going to rotate, so I'm going to put a drop of oil in there, just a drop. Now, to make the frame to hold the sails and everything, I'm going to use some wire. Any wire will do, but in fact I've got aluminium wire from the cables of the electricity company. I'll straighten it out first. It's about 60 centimetres, and I'm going to mark the middle of it. Here's the axle. It's a piece of rounded wood. In the middle of the wire, I'm going to make a loop, and that is where the axle is going to rotate. And now I'm going to bend the sides of this wire, the sides of the little windmill, 7.5 centimetres from the axle. Like that. I'm going to fix this frame onto the base. The sides of the frame need to be 15 centimetres. So I mark that there and there. And I'm going to bend that up and make a loop so that it can fit on the frame. And the same on the other side. Straighten it up, and now we're ready to fix the frame to the base. Here's a diagram of it. The base, the axle, and the wire frame, and I'm going to fix the wire frame with screws down to the base. And I'm going to mark the position for the screws, and I'm going to drill little holes to make it easier for the screws to go in. So there, now it is ready, the frame is made. Now I'm going to cut the sails. I'm going to make them out of a plastic Coke bottle, and I'm going to cut them round here with a knife. And now I'm going to cut this cylinder in half. So now we've got the two sails that the wind's going to blow against. If you haven't got a Coke bottle, you can use paper. Here I'll cut out this. So that's going to be the sail, but to make it possible to stick it down, I'm going to cut these things at the side, and to bend them down so that when I want to attach them to their supports, these little tabs could be glued down to the supports. And the same at the other end. Now I'm going to make the supports. I'm going to make the supports for the sails. These have to be made out of cardboard because they have to be quite strong. So first I'll cut one out. You see, first I've drawn them out on paper, and then I'm cutting them out so that I can trace them onto cardboard, because they've got to be fairly stiff. And that's the middle. So there it is, ready to be cut out. Now, using the axle, the pointed end, I'm going to make a hole and put these on. These are the supports for the sails. So here are the two supports, top and bottom in position. So that's where the sails are going to go on. So it's making progress. Here are the two sails approximately in position, and they'll go round like that. In fact, at this stage the wind will blow them down. I'll blow. Now, if I'm going to use the paper sails, then I'll glue these on. In fact, I am going to use the paper sails. There's one part done. And there it is. I'll use this one, not the plastic bottle one. Now I'm going to make the circle of cardboard that's going to hold the magnets. It's called a rotor. It's 5 centimetres in radius. And there it is, the support for the magnets that are going to go round above the coils. Now, I'm going to use these sort of magnets, rectangular magnets, but you could equally well use these, the magnets out of loudspeakers. Now, I'm going to glue the magnets onto this, like on this diagram. There, with north facing upwards, there, with north facing downwards, there north facing upwards, and there north facing downwards, and there. But I can't let them go, otherwise they'll attract each other. I've got to glue them down. Well, now back to the magnets. I haven't made the hole big enough here, so with the axle I'm going to and that of course is going to go round like that above the coils on the base. Now, in order to put it together, I've got to take the frame off the base so that I could get it all in. So now I'm going to put the sails onto the axle. Then the magnets are going to go on there. So there it is, basically finished, the rotor finished. Now I have to put the coils down here on the base. Now I'm going to make the stator, the stationary coils that are going to generate the electricity. Here they are. And they're going to fit onto the base like that, and the magnets are going to go round above them. And now I'll show you how I make the coils. To wind the coils, I've got 4 nails like this, in a board, and the nails can turn round. And here I've got wire that's taken from an old transformer. In fact, I have a photograph of it somewhere. Here's a photograph of it when I was taking it off the transformer. And now I'm going to start winding the coils. But when you've got 300 turns round there, then with a bit of tape I hold the coil together. Like that. And now to take the coil off, I turn these round so the coil will come off. And here are the coils. I've wound these with some green wire that I had. The wire is varnished, that is to say it's painted, and the varnish is insulation. It's thin wire. Now when I've wound the coils, they have to be quite flat, like that, so that the magnet can pass closely above them. So they should be flat like that, not like this. So to make sure they're fairly flat, I'll put some more tape on at the ends and stretch it tightly over them. Yeah, that's better. And of course, as I said, the wire is covered with varnish. It's green varnish, and I have to scrape the varnish off. I've cut the wires a little bit shorter, they were too long, so I now have to scrape the varnish off carefully with a knife or sandpaper. You have to be careful with this and make sure it is quite clean, otherwise it won't make good contact. You see how that one's good and clean? You can see the copper, it's copper wire inside. So there they are, ready. But now we have to be careful. This one has to go the other way, and this one has to go the other way before we join them together. As you can perhaps see, this one goes round this way, the wires go round this way, but here the wires go round that way. Here the wires go round that way. Here the wires go round that way. Now I have to connect them up. This connects to that, and I twist them together very well so that the clean parts are twist tightly together. And here these two twist tightly together, and these two twist tightly together. So now they're all connected in series, and here finally are the ends that are going to connect to the lamp. And now I have to put them in position. Come on here, and this one here. The lamp is going. Now I've got to. Is going. So now I've got to fix them down like that. Here's a diagram of it. They're connected so that one goes one way, one goes the other way. You can see the A's and B's, which way the ends are connected. Right. So now I'm going to stick them down. And these two wires are where the lamp's going to go. So now we've got to make these magnets rotate above these coils. So the axle has to go on, and then it'll be adjusted to the right height so that it's very near to the coils, but it's slack. The hole's too big in a way. So I'm going to alter this by, let's take an example here. I'll show you with this piece of cardboard. I'm going to clamp it between two nuts. One there and one there. But the nuts themselves are too slack on the axle, so I'm going to put some paper around it to make it wider and make the nuts grip on it. Now I've checked that that paper is about the right thickness, and so I have to put a drop of glue on it and then fasten it on. And then I'm going to put the nut on there, put this on there, there's the nut on one side, and now I'm going to put this other nut on the other side. It's quite tight, so I'm having to use pliers. So now I've tightened one and loosened the other and adjusted it so that it's clamped, and I've adjusted it so that it's the right height to just go above the magnets without touching them. So now I can put the sails on again. So there it is, nearly finished, but of course now I've got to put the frame on. So I'll put the screws in again. And there, we hope, it's finished. Will it go round? Yes. There it goes. And so, there it is. Basically finished. Now I'm going to use a voltmeter to measure the voltage coming out of it before I connect the lamp. I'm connecting to the end of those coils there and there. That's where the lamp eventually is going to go, and now I turn it by hand. 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.3, 1.2, 1.1. So it works. Now, here are the wires coming out from the end of the coils. Here's the light emitting diode, the lamp, and I'm going to connect it up. So there it is connected, ready to go, but I'll have to switch the lights off so you can see it properly. Well, now what we have to do is to try it out in the wind, but today there isn't any wind outside, so I'll operate it with a fan. I'll start it going round. And off it goes. It works quite well, but it won't, as you see, it won't produce 1 volt. That's because it's going too slowly. But it's not meant, really, to be properly operational. It won't drive anything, it won't drive a radio, charger, cell phone battery. But it's meant to demonstrate the principles of a wind generator, a wind turbine. And I must say, it looks very nice, doesn't it?